In law a person is guilty when he violates the rights of others. In ethics he is guilty if he only thinks about doing it. Immanuel Kant. Experience without theory is blind, but theory without experience is just a game of wits. Immanuel Kant. Only God's destiny that requires us to be happy, but it is we who must make ourselves happy. Immanuel Kant. With a lie, a man destroys his dignity as a man. Immanuel Kant. He who is cruel to animals also becomes cruel when dealing with other people. We can know a person's heart from his attitude towards animals. Immanuel Kant. Morals are not the doctrine of how we make ourselves happy, but how we make ourselves worthy of happiness. Immanuel Kant. If a person makes himself a worm, he should not complain if he is stepped on by people. Immanuel Kant. It doesn't matter whether as long as I live happily, but it is very important that as long as I live, I should live with honor. Immanuel Kant. Happiness is not ideal if it requires a reason to happen. Immanuel Kant. The only objects of practical reason are good and evil. Because the former is an object that is really wanted for a reason, other things are things that must be avoided, of course also with a reason. Immanuel Kant. All reasons, speculative and practical, combine the following three questions. 1. What can I understand? 2. What should I do? 3. What do I expect? Immanuel Kant. All our knowledge begins with the five senses, continues later with understanding, and ends with reason. Nothing is higher than reason. Immanuel Kant. A categorical command becomes something that represents an action that is very important to him, without the encouragement of other goals. Immanuel Kant. Although all our knowledge only begins with experience, that does not mean that it arises from experience. Immanuel Kant. You don't have to act out of obedience to someone, which you can do from inner motivation. Immanuel Kant. The practical conditions are as follows: trade so that you need humanity, both in your own person and in the person of each other, at any time at the same time as an end, never as a means. Immanuel Kant. False and misleading arguments are easiest to detect if they are arranged in the correct form of a syllogism. Immanuel Kant. Most men use their knowledge only under the guidance of others because they lack the courage to think independently using their own reasoning abilities. It takes intellectual courage to discover the truth. Immanuel Kant. Humans want harmony, but Allah knows best what is good for his species. He wants discord. Immanuel Kant. All thought, direct or indirect, with a character, is ultimately related to intuition, precisely, for there is no other way of thinking be given to us. Immanuel Kant. Be patient a moment, slander does not last long. Truth is a child of time, long time he will appear to defend you. Immanuel Kant. Even philosophers would praise war as a human glorification, forgetting the Greeks who said, war is bad because it produces more evil than kills. Immanuel Kant. Act in such a way that you need humanity, both in yourself and in each other, at any time at the same time as an end, never as a means. Immanuel Kant. Human reason has this peculiar fate that in one species of its knowledge it is burdened by questions which, as prescribed by the very nature of reason itself, it is not able to ignore, but which, as transcending all its powers, it is also not able to answer. Finally, there are imperatives which, without putting any other intention to be achieved by a particular behavior as a condition, directly determine this behavior. These obligations can be categorical, these obligations can be called morality. Immanuel Kant. Aristotle can be considered as the father of logic. But the logic is too scholastic, full of subtlety, and basically has little value for human understanding. It is the dialectic and organon for the art of discord. Immanuel Kant. Philosophy requires a science that will determine the possibilities, principles, and levels of human knowledge a priori. Immanuel Kant. The true function of the state is to impose minimum limits and safeguard the maximum liberties of the people, and never to regard the individual as something. Immanuel Kant. Life is the faculty of spontaneous activity, the awareness that we have powers. If you punish a child for being naughty, and reward him for being good, he will do right merely for the sake of the reward, and when he goes out into the world and finds that goodness is not always rewarded, nor wickedness always punished. He will grow into a man who only thinks about how he may get on in the world, and does right or wrong according as he finds advantage to himself. The infinitude of creation is great enough to make a world, or a Milky Way of worlds, look in comparison with it what a flower or an insect does in comparison with the earth.